across Parthia was stopped. But pepper was not the only spice they took from India. Cardamom, cloves, nutmeg. There's a long list. Some names mentioned in the ancient text, we are not able to identify the precise spice or plant at all. Then, apart from spices, silk and cotton textiles went from India to Rome. Apart from Chinese silk, Indian silk also went. Gemstones, several gemstones, of which one is very important, beryl or aquamarine. It's a bluish green prismatic stone like the diamond, but more expensive and more precious than the diamond, and at that time then known only in South India. It is also known in Brazil, but the discovery of Brazil was then centuries away. So for beryl they came all the way to South India, and various other stones, garnet and other things. Then pearls, which were extensively got in the coastal areas between India and Sri Lanka. Tortoise shell. Peacocks were a major item of export from India to Rome, and the peacocks formed a favorite pet of the Roman aristocracy, they say, and peacocks have been frequently featured on Roman coins. But the peacocks originally went from India to Rome. The list is long. As many as 120 items have been listed. Spices, textiles, ivory, organic or animal items, including live animals and birds, and rarely even elephants, which were sent as diplomatic gifts by Indian kings to the Roman emperors, caged inside the ships. What did the Indians get in return? They say the Indian kingdoms were then quite prosperous, and they had no specific need for anything from Rome. So the balance of trade was very much in favor of India. But there was scarcity of some things. Gold was in great demand in India now and then, but gold is scarce in India even now, and it was then also, especially in South India. So were other metals like copper, lead, antimony and other such things. So India got metals from Rome, mainly gold, silver, copper, lead and antimony, and a few other things like Roman wine. They say India also produced her own wine, but the Roman wine was far more tastier and better than the Indian varieties. And Roman wine, packed in the Roman wine jars or amphoras, reached India in thousands. And yet the list of items from Rome to India is very few compared to the long list that I told you of things going from this end. And it continued, and why it broke up around the 4th, 5th century, the reasons and the date are as unclear as the reasons and date of the beginning of the commerce. Political situations both in the Roman side and in South Asia, and Rome learning to make its own silk, and so many other reasons have been cited by historians. But in any case, by the 4th, 5th century AD, soon after the Byzantine Empire stabilized, the trade began to decline and tapered off completely by the 6th, 7th century. But we have a few Roman coins of Byzantine coins of that very late period in some sites in India. But the peak of the trade and the bulk of the Roman material, including coins found in India, belong to the 1st century. And just one thing before we go to the interesting color slides. I told you there's a surprise waiting for you, which is coming very shortly. The items which came from Rome to India, since mostly they were metals in the form of coins, medals and such things, they have remained for archaeologists to discover and report. But the things going from India, whether it's pepper or cardamom or peacocks or elephants or ivory or textiles, are all perishable goods by any standard, leaving little or no trace for archaeologists. Hence, Roman experts or archaeologists studying Roman trade, unaware of the little known discoveries in India, tend to underestimate the volume and value of this commerce, because there is nothing or hardly anything to be seen on the Roman side in archaeological excavations. Pompeii, the famous site in Italy, which was destroyed by a volcano and which was rediscovered and excavated in the early 20th century, it has revealed an Indian ivory statue of a Hindu goddess. That's the only authentic discovery of an Indian object in Rome. Otherwise, it's very difficult. Some sculptures, ancient sculptures in Rome have, they say, stylistic features of Hindu art. But that's little debatable. But if you ask for authentic Indian objects discovered in archaeological sites in the Roman Empire, this Pompeii example is the sole one. And why it's rare, I have given you the reason. But in India, you dig in any archaeological site, and why archaeological site? You dig to construct an airport in Bangalore, the famous IT city of South India. While constructing a new airport there, we got 300 coins of Augustus. You dig for a railway track, a farmer digs in his farmland, you discover coins of Tiberius, Nero and others. So the archaeological evidence is more in India because of the nature of trade and the nature of the trade commodities. With this, now we move on to the more interesting part of the presentation. Roman sites in India are many, as I just told you, scores or hundreds of them. It's difficult to keep count, major and minor. Some of them are very big. They have been compared to Athens or to Alexandria or even to Pompeii. And they have revealed archaeological materials comparable to those in Athens or Alexandria or Pompeii, but have not made it as popular in academic literature or even in glossy coffee table books or tourist brochures. Now in India, we have put together on behalf of the Indian National Trust, the counterpart of the American National Trust in DC, a tour of all the Roman sites in South India, the major ones, for 8 days. It covers the important Roman archaeological sites and whatever ruins we find there, and the important museums housing the artifacts from those sites. It's an academic tour taking place twice or thrice a year during the tourist season or the winter months from October to February, and many students and faculty from the departments of classical archaeology in Europe have been on the tours, and I wish that Mary Washington's people come there as the first people from this side of the world. We have had no American classical archaeology people on any of those tours for the last 10 years, but we have had many Americans interested in this as a hobby, but not from the academic faculty. So now I am going to take you on that tour through a series of slides. I thought that's a more interesting way of showing you the slides and the sites instead of just doing it randomly. And we are going on a particular route. I can show you this map again, but let me quickly tell you the slides from now to the end of this presentation is a tour of the major Roman sites in India. And the tour begins on the west coast. I cannot begin the tour in Pusoli or Puteoli. It's too much. And for the Africa part, you have another speaker. So we begin as soon as they reach the west coast of India. We see a series of sites all along the way, forested mountains, and come to the east coast and end the tour there. Again, this is not colorful, but this is a map showing the major distribution pattern of the Roman sites in India, and all these sites have revealed Roman material. What is this? Yeah, now the fun begins, but it's academic fun. Anyone? Yeah, it's a cake. You got it right. You need not have been so slow or so soft. It's a cake. It's a sponge cake. But what does it represent? The students of class 6, do they learn Roman coins?
Sometimes, but the current group hasn't really experienced them much.
This is, I'll just give you the explanation. I thought showing it this way is more fun than putting a metal coin. Anyway, the coin is in a private collection and we wouldn't allow me or others to photograph it. And the photograph piece supplied is so bad that I dare not show it anywhere in the US who want high quality, high resolution pictures. But this is far better. This coin is, this cake, the dressing on it represents a coin of Julius Caesar. Julius Caesar is well known in history, and in India he is considered even now a hero. Even now, mothers want their sons to be like Caesar. No mother wants her son to be like Nero. And the very mention of Caesar means he's a man of self-confidence, courage, well-built, all the positive qualities of a man or a ruler. They never see anything negative about him, thanks to the history books which only describe him in glowing terms. And in India, we have discovered Roman coins of the Republican period and later, more of Augustus, Tiberius and others, but only one coin in the whole of India. We have discovered thousands of them, which is the subject of tomorrow's talk. But among the thousands, one and only one recorded instance of an authentic coin of Julius Caesar, found in an obscure village on that trade route in South India. The obverse of that coin, it's a silver coin, extremely worn out condition. It represents Ceres, and on the reverse you have this, all priest symbols, cululus or the cup. And just now we were discussing how I could pronounce it, aspergillum, am I right? The whisk from which they used to dip it in sacred water and sprinkle, then the jug and the litus, a bent like a question mark like rod. All priest symbols with the Pontiff Maxim on the as the legend, and normally Julius Caesar's coin have his name on the obverse or reverse or the name of one of his underlings who issued the coin. But this